Koko wasn't just any gorilla. She was gentle, intelligent, and deeply emotional. She spent her life in a peaceful sanctuary surrounded by trees, other animals, and the people who cared for her. But there was one person who meant more to her than anyone else. Her name was Emily. Emily was not just a caretaker, she was Koko's closest companion. From the moment they met, a connection formed between them that words could never fully explain. They spent nearly 2 decades together, and over those years, a deep bond grew between them. Day after day, year after year, they were side by side. Emily taught Koko how to communicate using sign language, and Koko responded with an eagerness that surprised everyone. But it wasn't the signs that told the full story. It was the way Koko looked at Emily, the way she followed her, the way she hugged her and held her hand. It was a love that needed no translation. They played together. They sat together. They laughed in ways only the two of them could understand. Emily was more than a friend. To Koko, she was family. In that sanctuary, hidden away from the noise of the world, their bond became something truly rare, a connection of hearts that saw no difference between human and animal. One day, Emily didn't show up. The sanctuary, usually filled with life and activity, seemed quieter than ever. The caretakers tried to reassure Koko, but something in her eyes told a different story. Koko sensed it. She knew something was wrong. At first, she wandered around the enclosure, as if searching for Emily. Her usual curiosity was gone, replaced by a deep unease. She didn't eat. She didn't play. She didn't interact with the other gorillas. She just sat, staring at the entrance, waiting. The staff didn't know what to do. They had never seen her like this before. Koko had always been gentle, but now she seemed lost. Her usual signs of affection had turned into signs of confusion and sorrow. She would reach out to the caregivers, but there was a sadness in her touch that they couldn't ignore. It wasn't until they learned the news that the full weight of Koko's grief became clear. Emily, the woman who had been her constant companion for so long, had passed away suddenly. The sanctuary was devastated, but no one could feel the loss as deeply as Koko. She didn't understand why Emily wasn't coming back. She didn't know how to fill the void that had been left in her life. Days passed, and the silence in the sanctuary grew heavier. Koko's sorrow was palpable, a constant reminder that sometimes love transcends words, and sometimes the pain of loss is something even the strongest cannot avoid. For 7 days straight, Koko did something no one expected. Every morning, just as the sun rose, she made her way to the same spot, near the newly dug earth where Emily had been laid to rest. No one told her to go there. No one led her. She simply walked to that spot on her own, as if something inside her was guiding her. She sat by the grave, staring at the fresh earth, motionless, almost like a statue. The other gorillas came and went, but Koko remained in her spot, as if she was waiting for something. She didn't eat, she didn't play, she didn't show interest in the outside world. She was completely still, locked in a quiet vigil. The caretakers watched from a distance, unsure of what to do. They knew Koko had been close to Emily, but this behavior was unlike anything they had ever seen. It wasn't just sadness. There was a sense of reverence, a deep understanding that something had changed. Something had been lost. Day after day, Koko continued her vigil. The sanctuary felt different now. The air seemed heavy with grief, but there was also something sacred about the way Koko stayed by the grave. She wasn't just mourning. She was honoring Emily in her own way. The silence between them was powerful, filled with memories of their time together, a bond that could not be broken, even by death. As the days went on, the staff couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Koko wasn't moving, wasn't responding to the world around her. She simply stayed, with one hand occasionally reaching out, as if touching the earth where Emily lay, as if trying to bridge the gap between them. It was clear that for Koko, this wasn't just a moment of sadness. It was a moment of deep connection. a moment of final farewell. On the seventh day, as the sun began to set, something shifted. The air felt different, charged, almost as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Koko, still sitting by the grave, suddenly stood up. Her movements were slow, deliberate, and for the first time in days, her gaze lifted from the earth. She seemed to sense something, a presence nearby. The others had noticed it too, a rustling in the bushes just beyond the grave. Koko's eyes widened and she froze, as if listening to the forest speak. The sound grew louder, closer, and then, emerging from the thick underbrush, was a small figure. A baby gorilla, lost, confused, and vulnerable, stepped into view. It was young, too small to be on its own, and it moved cautiously, looking around with uncertain eyes. Koko's body tensed for a moment, as if unsure what to do. She didn't move toward it right away, but she didn't turn away either. The baby stopped a few feet away, watching Koko with curiosity, but also with an undeniable fear. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as the two creatures locked eyes. Koko tilted her head, then slowly took a step forward. Without hesitation, Koko extended her arm, reaching out toward the baby. She didn't rush, didn't seem alarmed. Her movements were gentle, as though she was trying to comfort the little one to tell it that it was safe. The baby hesitated, but then, sensing no danger, took a tentative step closer to Koko. Koko placed her hand on the baby's back, and for the first time in days, her expression softened. It was as if the forest and everything in it had come full circle. This was no longer just a vigil for the one she had lost. It was the beginning of something new. The little gorilla, now safe in Koko's care, nestled against her side. It was a tender moment, filled with an unspoken understanding. Koko wasn't just mourning. She was embracing life once more, welcoming the new life that had appeared in her world. For Koko, this was more than just a coincidence. It felt like a sign, an answer to the void left by Emily's passing. In the midst of her sorrow, she had found a reason to keep going. And just like that, the circle of life continued, as Koko took the baby under her care. In the days that followed, something incredible began to unfold. Koko, who had once been silent with grief, now seemed to have a new sense of purpose. The baby gorilla who had wandered into her life became her focus. She didn't just protect it, she cared for it in ways that spoke volumes about her character. Koko treated the baby as if it were her own, grooming it, teaching it, and holding it close as if to reassure it that it was safe. The bond between them grew stronger each day. The caretakers watched in awe as Koko, once so full of sorrow, now exuded a quiet strength. The pain she had been carrying seemed to shift, transformed by the arrival of this new life. But there was more. Koko returned to the grave where Emily had been laid to rest. This time, however, it wasn't a place of mourning. It was a place of reflection, a place where Koko could honor Emily's memory, but also a place where she could pass on the love she had received. The baby gorilla sat beside her, watching quietly, as Koko gently touched the earth with her hands, as if passing on her grief but also her resilience. It was in those moments that the caretakers realized the significance of what had happened. Koko wasn't just grieving, she was healing, and in that healing, she was able to give something back, to the baby, to the sanctuary, and to herself. The story of Koko and Emily was not just about loss. It was about the strength to move forward, to embrace the new, and to find love even in the darkest moments. The cycle of life had taken a painful turn, but through Koko's resilience, a new chapter was beginning to unfold. And as Koko sat by the grave one last time, with the baby nestled beside her, it was clear that love had not been lost. It had simply transformed, taking on a new form, a new hope for the future. As time passed, Koko's story became a symbol of something much deeper, an example of love, loss, and the incredible resilience of the heart. The bond she had shared with Emily, the way she mourned, and how she eventually opened herself to the new life that came into her world, left a lasting impact on everyone who witnessed it. In the sanctuary, Koko's days slowly returned to a new normal. She still carried the baby close to her, teaching it, playing with it, and sharing moments of tenderness that spoke volumes about the depth of her emotional world. The other gorillas, too, began to follow Koko's lead, showing more affection and care for one another, as if they had learned something from the silent lessons she had taught them. But it was the story of Koko's love and healing that spread beyond the sanctuary walls, touching the hearts of people all over the world. News outlets, documentaries, and people who had followed Koko's life knew her as more than just a gorilla. They saw her as a symbol of hope and a reminder that no matter the depth of our sorrow, there is always a way forward, always a reason to believe in the possibility of new beginnings. The sanctuary continued to thrive, with Koko and her adopted baby gorilla becoming a symbol of the unbreakable bond between animals and humans. Visitors who came to the sanctuary often stood in awe, watching Koko and her baby, silently understanding the magnitude of what they had witnessed, the healing power of love, the way grief could transform into something beautiful. Koko's story didn't end with her mourning Emily. It became a legacy, a reminder that while we may lose loved ones, the love we shared with them doesn't vanish. It lives on in us, in our actions, in the way we care for others, and in the way we open ourselves to the future. And as Koko and her baby sat together under the same tree, where she had once shared so many quiet moments with Emily, the message was clear. Life is a cycle, and love, in all its forms, never truly ends. It simply evolves, grows, and carries on.